DraftKings defense analysis for week 6. I'm Jason Gilbo, J Gilbo 11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J Clay. Taking a look at cash game and GPP defenses for this week. And overall, you don't have Denver, you don't have Minnesota, you don't have the Vikings. Arizona's the other one, on the main slate. So it's kind of taking a lot of teams off the board.
It's rough in the streets. I mean, and I think I have a pretty good read on some of these defenses, but generally speaking, this is not like last week. Last week was, throw the Vikings in and log out pretty easily. I mean, log out, like go on vacation, go to the beach, order a rum and Coke because you're like a miserable old man and you just sit angry on the beach and some like beautiful woman comes and says hi to you and you just say, "Shut up, playing the Vikings D." And that's how last week went for me. But this week, I think you might want to hedge. I love the Bills. They're my cash game defense. Obviously, facing the 49ers, 3,700. Colin Kaepernick back in the game. I won't lie. That worries me a little bit. No offense to actually a lot of offense to Blaine Gabbert. He's terrible. Blaine Gabbert's terrible. Colin Kaepernick has been good before. He was horrible the last time we saw him, but in a Chip Kelly offense, I mean, I think that's what we all envision Colin Kaepernick being optimally used, I think that's the perfect situation for him. So while I think likely Bills roll in this one, but there's like a 5% chance, Kaepernick and Hyde just crush in the run game.
That's what I'm worried about. I think I'm a little bit worried in terms of, will the Bills kind of hold up in terms of over the course of the game? 4 quarters of kind of attacking, that offense is kind of gruesome. So with Cap back, I think that tosses in. Obviously, superstar Jeremy Curley's out there on the wideouts. I mean, you got to worry about him.
No kidding. Now, the only difference between Gabbert and Kaepernick, they both overthrow every receiver every play. R.I.P. Torrey Smith. Curley might get his fingers, he might go up for a catch and he looks down and his fingers are just gone. Because Kaepernick throws everything like it's game 7 and he's coming in to close out, the series. He fires it in there. So, I mean, it's going to be a much different vibe if he's in there. But as I mentioned with Torrey Smith, the real loser here is Torrey Smith, because if you've watched any of the 49ers games, he's wide open. I mean, he's wide open on a lot of plays. He gets open on his routes, and it just sails 5, 10, 15 yards over his head sometimes. I mean, the ball will literally hit 20 yards further than where he is sometimes. And it's just, you know what? He took the money. Good man, but that's a tough one, man.
I think we need to get back on track with defenses here. This was like you at a bar, and I just got to cut you off.
Okay.
You had one too many Colin Kaepernick drinks, and we just got to.
Okay.
So anyway, in terms of cash, you feel comfortable with the Bills. You think it's still a safe option either way.
Safe option.
Safe for weeks.
There is that 5% chance though that Kaepernick and Hyde go off. In terms of the Steelers versus the Dolphins, this is going to be an all-out debacle for the Dolphins. I mean, Steelers are certainly more limited on the road, but their offense is just so good and their Dolphins secondary is just so bad. They're going to get way ahead in this game. I guess what you have to worry about is Jarvis Landry, and in garbage time, chipping away at him and maybe scoring 15 to 20 points. I should say 14 to 21 points, but I like being contrarian. But at 3,400, I think the Steelers are a good risk. We know that Miami can't really run the ball, so they're going to be able to put a little extra emphasis on Landry in the passing game. I like that quite a bit.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, as you mentioned, on the road, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference this week because Miami's just not good. And also you got Le'Veon Bell back. So with that, I think you look at Tannehill. I mean, he was sacked 7 times last week, I believe. So you look at that offensive line. I think when they get back and kind of have to play catch up mode, it doesn't usually bode well.
Right. Absolutely.
GPP defenses. Look at Philly. Philly had a down week, somewhat down week. It was pretty average. Not what we were expecting last week.
Yeah, without those, not covering the running back on those, dump offs to Riddick, they really didn't play that bad. Obviously, a lot of us didn't see that coming. I did not. I like the Eagles D last week. On the road, I guess there's a little bit of a concern that maybe, their home roads might be a little different. But against this Redskins team, you know, Kirk Cousins still completing like 30% of his red zone passes. Pretty ugly there. Matt Jones not nearly as big of a threat as Theo Riddick in the screen game. I think the Eagles should find a way to figure this out. Love the Deshaun Jackson narrative straight here, but overall, I like the Eagles D.
I do too. I think you're going to see a little bit of rebound. I mean, that secondary is solid. I just look at these Washington guys, and it's like they don't. Outside of Jordan Reed, it's like, what do they really have there that can scare me away? And I don't see it. No run game. I think overall, this might be kind of an ugly game.
Can we give Josh Doxson your Achilles, and you can have his, and then he can play this week?
No, because I still need mine.
Oh, okay.
Like when I grocery shop, like I need to push off.
That's
I need my
true.
push off my grocery cart.
Especially, you got to get those times down, especially at the peak hours, because like you don't, when those lines,
Dude,
it gets aggressive in there.
You got a quick cut into the self checkout, right?
Or the 10 or less. Like that's aggressive sometimes. So.
Yeah, and you don't want to get clipped for interference. That's just awkward for everyone.
Yeah, and you don't want to just go out with a full cart and not have paid yet, You don't want that either. That's pretty awkward too when that happens.
Yeah, that is true.
You just leave without paying, It's pretty awkward. Rams 2,900 against the Lions. Again, another interesting matchup. We saw the Eagles defense struggle at Detroit. I think the Rams are just, again, kind of like we talked about last week. They're just totally volatile. Never know what you're going to get. Could it be a Marvin Jones goes for, 150 yards and 2 touchdowns? Sure. Could it be a week where Aaron Donald takes control and just smashes the Detroit Lions offensive line? Yes. I mean, it could go either way. That's why their tournament defense 2,900. I think you can plug them in with Gurley once again. Maybe get that Tavon stack working because it hasn't worked yet this year. And I mean, move forward. But yeah, maybe one lineup with them.
I like the Rams Gurley stack. I don't think I can play the two separately. I think it's going to be both together. But I do like it. I mean, Detroit, you never know what you're going to get from them. They didn't really have an efficient week last week. I mean, it was really the 2 dump offs to Riddick, and I forgot who had the 3rd touchdown, but it wasn't really terrific. So I kind of like it at 2,900, but I also kind of like your next one here too, Baltimore 26 on the road at the Giants. But this Giants offense is just,
Eli doesn't look right. Primetime game against the Packers, weak secondary. Salvaged a bad day, like a bad fantasy day with a late touchdown. So if he didn't have that, I mean, it would have been just literally nothing.
It would have been Brock Osweiler-esque.
Oh, Brock. Nobody's doing less with more weapons right now. But anyhow, yeah, 2,600 for the Ravens. They gave up that one chunk play to Isaiah Crowell, but they really haven't other than that, the entire seasons, they've been really solid. I heard during the game last week, they were the least amount of yards allowed this year. So I think against this struggling Eli Manning and Giants team, that's the process play right now. Obviously, we know Eli's better than this. We know Odell Beckham's better than this. We know Sterling Shepard's an emerging rookie. We know Victor Cruz is back, but based on the way they're playing right now, even at home, I think we can go with the Ravens here at 26.
And I think you got to look. I mean, Rashad Jennings didn't play last week. Obviously, Shane Vereen's out for the year. It was a lot of Bobby Rainey, which really signifies that there's going to be no real effort to run the ball, which kind of puts Baltimore in a spot where they can kind of just play pass defense. And if they want to run the ball, they can try. But I still think that front seven is decent enough to kind of handle a Darkwa running back game or Rainey. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's very versatile right now, which helps opposing defenses.
I will forgive CJ Mosley. I don't know
Oh,
if any of you saw that play.
oh,
This guy is an incredible player, and I hope that's not the perception of him now. But if you didn't see it, certainly worth going back and watching. He intercepted the ball, made a great play, juking guys, dive into the end zone, and he throws it. Like he drops it through the end zone for a touchback and a turnover. All that amazing play for literally like a 2-yard gain for the offense. It was awful. But other than that, I mean, I that has nothing to do with this week. So, yeah.
it doesn't, but it was a nice effort. But the throwing the football at the end was not optimal.
Oh, no.
So that's going to wrap things up with the DraftKings defense analysis for week 6. Be sure to head on over to dailyfantasycafe.com. Check out our great tools and content. If you like what we're doing with these videos, be sure to give our YouTube channel a subscribe.